Hi everyone, it's me, Crystal. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be playing around with those koi markers that came in this month's Palettefull Packs box. I'm going to be pulling in some other art supplies and just playing around with everything, pulling in some waters, seeing how it works. As you can probably tell, I'm deciding to do a skull drawing, and I also want to let there be a little bit of drips coming down from the teeth area. I did the sketch using a mechanical pencil, and I'm going over it currently with a Micron 05 in black. I'm pulling in a kneaded eraser to help pull up the areas of the sketch that's left over that I do not want to be there anymore, and then I start going in with the yellow Sakura Koi marker. I did make a pretty big mistake here. Before that was completely dry, I pulled in a kneaded eraser to help pull up a little bit more of the pencil out, and it ended up pulling up and ripping a little bit of the paper. Oopsie. I, for some reason, keep forgetting that these markers take a little bit longer to dry than most alcohol-based markers do, so that's my bad. If you're using these markers, a lot of water-based markers, or even watercolor, just be careful, make sure it's dry before you go over anything with a kneaded eraser. And I forgot to put in the supplies list at the beginning that I am using some Stonehenge, Aqua, Coldpress paper. Not the Coldpress Heavy, just the original, and it's 8x10. I did start pulling in a Caran Waterbrush to help blend out the marker because you're supposed to be able to use it this way. My kit didn't come with the Koi blender, so I decided to try water since it's water-based. I couldn't get it very light, and honestly, going over it with the water, if you put lines on the paper, it doesn't really dilute it or blend it out very much, at least compared to some other water-based markers or even water-based colored pencils. I also pulled in a plastic palette and put a little bit of the marker on there with some water to try to get some lighter areas, and it didn't work very well. Honestly, at that point, it would be better just to use watercolor. And maybe I should have done this one in watercolor, but I wanted to play around with those markers more and get a better grip on them. And since I'm experimenting and playing, I decided to pull a 2-inch varnish brush and just put water all over the paper and use my hairdryer to help move the pigments around the page and also to help dry. I do like the color combination of the purple, the yellow, and the pink going on. I also start stippling in the background to add a little bit more texture and to help cover up the tiny bit of a paper issue we had at the beginning. Also, I start doing some outlines using the purple koi marker. At this phase, I wasn't sure if I wanted to pull in more black or just leave it with the purple, pink, and yellow. I do decide later to pull in quite a bit of black and some whites as well. I then come in with the bright pink marker and start adding some definition and a bunch of lines trying to follow what I already have laid down. I also end up pulling some of the purple marker into the yellow background along with the pink and do a bunch of stippling. The further into it I get, the more I lose the original structure I had in for my sketch, and I do end up adjusting a lot as I go, and I wish with this one I didn't need to adjust as much. I kind of want to do this project either using acrylic paint or using watercolor and playing around with it and seeing if I'm happier with the end result with either of those media. I think just the markers themselves leave a lot to be desired in how they work. I add more stippling around the skull, and I eventually start pulling it out into more lines. This is both to add more visual interest and to add some more to the composition. I enjoy the splatter effects that it ends up giving it. For that stippling, I'm pulling in the pink, some more of the yellow, and the purple over the background that we have set up. I am concentrating more dots closer to the skull and gradually doing less as I move out, so it feels more concentrated the closer it is to the skull and dissipates as we get further away from it. I gradually pull in touches of some other colors as well. I pull in a lighter blue and I also pull in a red. This helps add a little bit more variation and helps create a couple more midtones. Watching the video back, I'm realizing that for some reason the design reminds me of Dr. D, also known as Dr. Destiny from the Sandman comics series. Go figure. At this point, I decided I did want black, so I start pulling in the Sakura Pigma BB marker. It is a black brush tip marker, and it's fairly thick, and you can get some nice, thick, dark black lines. I think for this drawing, it definitely helps add some contrast and helps further define what I've already got going on. I also pull in the Sakura Jelly Roll 10 white gel pen in order to pull back some highlights out. For the nasal cavity, I also pulled in some smaller black liners in order to create a little bit of hatching and insinuate some shading without making it completely black. Honestly, at this point, I could have probably stopped with the drawing, but I kept going. I just wanted to keep on working on it and keep on pushing through it. I decided that I wanted some thicker black lines for the outline of the skull, and that I also wanted some cracks kind of showing up towards the top. Later, I end up pulling in some white gel pen and a white Sharpie, a white water-based Sharpie specifically, to make little spikes towards the top of the cranium. I also like using the white gel pen directly against the dark black outline to help make the skull pop out even more. At this point, I start noticing that it's getting more and more uneven the more I'm working on it, so I try to fix it by pulling in the white gel pen again and reshaping certain areas. It didn't quite work out as well as I wanted it to. It wasn't getting as white as I wanted it to against the black that I have going down, and I think that's because I used some of the black from the Sakura Koi. And since that's water-based, sometimes when you put something on top of it, it reactivates the color slightly and it'll start to mix in with the lighter color. I end up pulling in the other markers a couple of times to shade over it and then go over it again with the white gel pen and then eventually the white Sharpie. And here, as you can see, I added the spikes and some of the other detailing off screen. And I end up working on this a little bit more without the camera on just to soften up some areas. But this is basically pretty close to what it ends up looking like. In conclusion, I said this already earlier in the video, I do want to retry this concept using a different media and seeing if I feel like it works better. I still think this guy looks cool, but I think there's a lot more I could do with it. But with that, this video is pretty much done. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, or concerns, please let me know all about that in that comment section down below. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day or night to watch this video and listen to me ramble. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you will definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!